what a night. Late December back in 63. What a time for me. I remember what a oh, what a night. No, I didn't even know her name, but I was gonna be the same. What a lady, what a night. Hi, Michael.
How you doing, Darius?
Good. Oh, I lost it. I had the wrong one down. How you doing, man? Can you hear me?
Well. How are you?
Oh, that was the first time I screwed that up in a while. Man, welcome to the Greatness Machine. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Oh.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my gosh. Guys, welcome to the Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh. And boy, do we have a special guest today. My man, Michael Patchuta. Did I get that right?
You did great. Thanks.
Boom. I screwed it up the first time we said it. Pachuta. So, guys, as you guys know, at the Greatness Machine, we're about two things. People who are creating greatness. People are living their greatness and creating wait, I've said that. Ben, I am backed up and upside down today. People who are living their passions to create greatness in the world. And my friend Michael is neither short of passion nor greatness. So we're so pumped to have you. And, man, we have so much cool stuff to talk about. Do you mind if I do a little bit of housekeeping and then we're going to dive right in?
That'd be great. Let's do it.
Guys, for those of you guys that know, we are live. So that means three things. Number one, things happen. Hit that like button. Hit that love button. Throw some emojis in there. Ask us questions. When you get someone like Michael to sit here and give his valuable time, you want to ask him many questions that your little heart's desire. So ask him questions. We're going to be going into a bunch of stuff that he's working on that is going to be really interesting. And don't be shy. Number three, start a watch party. We're live on Facebook. That means you can start a watch party. Share this knowledge with your friends. So, guys, we got a lot going on here. With that said, I want to give you guys a little bit of background. So here's how Michael and I met. My friend, his friend, our friend, Kevin Daum, it's like, oh, you got to meet my friend Michael, man. He's doing all these cool things. He's building these entrepreneurial communities. It's like, I got to make an introduction. So he makes the intro, and I'm just getting slammed. Like I'm drowning in business, like the business and shows and all this stuff. And Michael's just like, hey, let's get on a call. And he was all over it. He was just like, and I was like, whoa, yeah. And it was weird. Normally I would have been like, I swear to God, I'm not lying. You don't know this, Michael. I was like gonna book you like a month later because I was so slammed. But he was all over it, and I swear to God, we booked, like, we talked that day, and we were on the phone just broing out and like realized we know all the same people and we're doing all these cool things. And I was like, man, I really like this guy. And so I was like, man, I gotta have you on my show. So thank you so much for honoring me with your time and presence and dealing with my bullshit.
It was a lot of fun. That first night, I think we talked for like an hour and a half. We both had like 5 minutes, and just incredible conversation. And we definitely know a lot of the same people.
The stars aligned, man. That's all I got to say. So that was how we introed. I would love to give your formal bio. Is that cool?
Sure.
So, guys, let me rip it up over here. I always read. I like to give the non-formal because that's like, people really want to know that. But I want you guys to know what the man, the myth here, Michael, is doing. Michael is the co-founder of EFOGI, Entrepreneurs Focused on Growth, Inc., which is a global consulting firm that provides strategic and operational support around its proprietary system of growth, including public speaking, mentoring, event planning, network association, and management. In addition to EFOGI, Michael is the executive director at Exo Network. Social connection is to trusted, like-minded entrepreneurs, thought leaders from around the world. So, and I want to dive right into this, man. Okay. Exo Network. So this is like online and offline place for like ex-EOers, YPOers, current. It doesn't matter. This is a new way for them to connect. Can you tell us about that? And then I want to go into your origin story. Let's hear about
Happy that. The Exo Network stemmed from I was in EO for 17 years. Mm-hmm. And when I sold my previous business, I timed out. And so I grandfathered in, did all these other things. But I visited 72 chapters around the U.S. And I did forum in Pittsburgh and hung out with Sergio in New York and did a mock forum recruitment event and stayed in Vancouver and Cameron's house and traveling. And just I visited a lot of places. Rashid down in Florida and Philly, hung out with VJ and all these guys, great entrepreneurs. So when I was getting out of EO, I still wanted to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I travel, I wanted to be able to put in an event saying, hey, I'm going to be in Tampa. Does anybody want to have drinks? Hey, I'm going to France, which I got married 2 years ago and went to France, and Boo Boo gave me the photographer. And so literally we got a photographer through EO. They showed up incredible pictures. We got married in the backyard of a yard in the countryside of France. It was incredible. Beautiful wife, beautiful
Nice.
time, a lot of fun. So as we continue to travel and do different things, I love connecting with entrepreneurs.
Nice.
So XO was formed for EO, YPO Gold, Vistage, Enterprising Women, Women Presence Organization, Tiger 21, and it's an online white website, exonetwork.org, and then it's also a mobile app. Well, the components that I love were one of the areas called Elite Access. So if you have a second home, or if you have a plane, or if you have tickets to whatever sporting or event, wherever it is, you can list them in there, and other entrepreneurs can swap or can rent from you or can share.
Nice.
The other part is you can add an event on the fly. So if I'm coming to Austin, I'm going to go to Austin in May. I'm running a conference out there. So I put in there, I'm going to Austin May 1st through 5th. And so I'm going to meet up with Scott Fritz, one of the original Accelerator guys. And
Yeah.
I'm going to meet up with a couple like Jason Kavanaugh and Concord and some other people. So you can put a live event in there. But it's got a whole social media community that you can post and like and share. And then when I interview other former EO/YPO members, I put my videos in there and there's content.
Nice.
And then in our library, we've got sample documents. So if you sell a business, everyone wants to be a coach. We got sample contracts and sample board member agreements. And it's really just about keeping that community together. We've got some resource partners, and it's all about when you sold your business and when you want to get into something new, all these resource partners help you with that. So
oh man,
that's what Exo is about.
I love it. And so that's what we connected on, guys. Originally, Kevin was like, man, you got to check out what he's doing. I think this is really like up your alley because he was like just describing it. You get out of your business and you go become a coach. I'm like, oh, I know. That sounds like me. Like everybody. Hey, what do you do? I wrote a book and I'm a coach. It's like, yeah, come join the club.
Would that be the core value equation? Write a book and become a coach. Would that be the core? Oh, sorry.
Man, plug. You guys, listen. I didn't do it. Michael did it. So you got to listen. You got to listen to a guy that sounds as legitimate as he does. Guys, I want to say this. We got a fair amount of people viewing this, but you guys start watch parties here. I know there's a lot of people in the entrepreneurial community. The way you start a watch party is down at the bottom right. It says share. Click share. It might say more options. Hit more options on Facebook and start a watch party. Let's make this a big fat party. Ask us questions. We're going to be diving deep on how entrepreneurs can connect, how they can add resources to each other, and all the different things that Michael's up to at Exo Network, as well as his other business. But before we go there, I'd love to take a step back. Man, how the hell did you become an entrepreneur? I want to know that story.
That's a long story. So
give me the abbreviated.
I'm a computer programmer originally.
No way.
Yeah, really. And I worked for EDS back in college, and I worked for security, and I worked in restaurants. I've had a lot of jobs. And then previous life, my ex-father-in-law invited me to come in his business, and I grew up in that business and became the CFO and divested of that one. And then I bought into the next business, and I was a private investigator for 21 years.
No. Wait, hold on. Stop the presses. So you're a PI for 21 years?
Correct. And we did background checks. And then we did security management, which is really high-risk terminations and strike force response and major events like the Buick Open and such. And so that was a large portion of my life where I bought a bunch of companies, and then I exited. My former partner bought me out, and then I started EFOGI. And that's an event planning company. But during that time, it was getting in business, growing the business, buying, selling. And I was telling a story to my team today is when I first took over this company and said, we're going to do background checks as our core, 13 of the 15 people resigned. And we lost our most important clients, like 83% of our revenue. So starting off my entrepreneurial life, I lost 83% of my revenue and all my staff, and then built from there.
So, wow. Losing 83% of revenue. I've had that happen to me once before. It sucks, first of all. But I'm sorry, I'm stuck on the private investigator thing. So, so you weren't like like a, what do they call them, like a dick, where you're out there like catching husbands cheating on their wives type of stuff?
We did not do a lot of personal investigations. I did sit in a car and track down some lost vehicles. I have helped out on the insurance investigations. I've been consulting in security management. We hired a lot of those guys out because, you know, the Rangers and SEALs are much better suited than I am. But carrying a weapon and training and doing all that, that was some of the aspect, the small part. I really liked working with the recurring revenue. So the PI work, yes, I've done it. Do I talk about it a lot? No, I don't.
I'm not letting you off the hook here. Can you tell me your craziest PI story that you have? Just, there's got to be one that stands out that you're like, man, this was an insane story.
A lot of the PI work is done in the data. And so some of the investigations, like we worked with an investigation that went into Canada, and one of the people was stealing some high quality, I guess you could call it, chemical from that plant. And our team went out there and found out it was in the bottom of a planter, and it was like 3 or 4 ounces of this government regulated, and ended up finding the person, tracking him down, interviewing him, knowing he was lying, staking it out, and we got a prosecution out of it. It was one of those incredible stories.
Wow. I always thought I'd be a good private investigator. My Colby Fact Finders is 6. I love looking up, figuring out data. I love it. Like, I'm such a sleuth. I would have done. I probably was a detective in my former life. I'm pretty sure of it.
You probably were. I know that we worked with some people in one of the social media networks, and his in-laws were trapped in the levee in New Orleans. And wow. We had contacted volunteer firemen and off-duty police officers to try and get them to go to their house. And ended up that we found an off-duty fireman who had siphoned some gas. And when we saw the Army Reserve coming up the road, he drove through the backyards, drove to the back of that, and we had a limousine waiting where we took him and drove him to Houston, had their favorite meal waiting and their kids on the phone. So there was a lot of coordination and things that we did for companies.
So that kind of segues into, like, I mean, that's a lot of logistics around events, right? So you sold it, you got bought out of that business, sold your ownership of that business, and exited that business, and then and FOG came out of that. So tell us, like, how did you take? You said you took some time off, and you mentioned my buddy Sergio, which is funny. I was just texting someone about him today. Hi, Sergio, if you're listening.
Hey, Sergio. No billboard here. We can't. There's no more billboards, so it's something different now.
I know. Biden just got elected today, so he probably was there. It's my guess. What's that?
He's back on the cabinet again.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. Like, he was tight with Biden. He and I were supposed to have a thing. We were doing a conscious leadership event on Clubhouse every other Wednesday. But we were supposed to be tonight, but I forgot, and he forgot to connect with each other. So maybe it'll be next week. So yeah, you started hanging out with all the entrepreneurs, and gosh, I mean, EO and YPO and Vistage and all these groups. I mean, man, it pumps out a lot of entrepreneurs, right? And to your point, there's some high value, and some people love it. They stay in it, and that's their jam, and that's cool. But there's a lot of people that, you know, come in and out of it because they have different needs at different times, and you know, maybe they're in a forum, maybe they're not in a forum. You know, forum usually kind of binds everyone together. But when you see these entrepreneurs and they leave, walk me through the thought. Are you doing it? That's my bandana. That's my for anyone that's a supporter, you get a pink unicorn bandana. So Michael, he pulled some strings. He got. Did you see the gift box I sent too? What do you think about that? Hey, check this out. This is what I send to you if I really like you. Oh, there's a box that says "I am a pink or be a pink unicorn."
Oh yeah, that's downstairs. Sorry.
Yeah, that was special. It's like a pizza box for the size of a book. So anyway, how did you go from private investigation world to be like, all right, I'm gonna start an events business and I'm gonna start this online community? Like that's a fairly big pivot. I want to hear about that.
Well, part of my, I'm a master networker. I love to connect. And so how I grew my other business was joining associations and networking. Well, I became the conference director for the Professional Background Screeners Association, and I became the conference director for Michigan SHRM, Society of Human Resource Managers, and I was the education chair for a couple of years with EO Detroit. And all of these are planning events. And I love to watch that flow of events, and I'm really good at the flow. And it hit me that as we're going through these events, our best niche are like broker dealers, and when the attendees are all entrepreneurs. Because when you're an entrepreneur in a rep, a wealth financial rep, or a franchise owner, you're treated differently in your hometown. Then you come to a conference and you want to be treated that way there. But attendees are not treated that way. So we actually have that experience for the attendees, treating them like they're supposed to be entrepreneurs. And so as I grew this business over the years, and I realized that networking, connecting other people, you would get referred. That's what I fell in love with. I fell in love with events and the flow of events. And so when I got out of the other business, I came into an event management and coordination firm. We launched that, and we started doing conferences. And we run 300 to 800 person conferences, a couple thousand people. And then COVID hit, and we went to zero revenue. Right. And we had to pivot. And so last year we built out a platform. We have the systemofgrowth.com. It's a full demo for a virtual conference. And you go out there and you can see the different components, and we got it down to a really good price point that we can run virtual conferences for companies. And we've run probably about 50 or 60 virtual conferences.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there with my wife about 2-3 weeks ago. Courtney and I were talking. She goes, you really have to build your network and networking with events and come up with something that really, really makes that all come together. And so about 3-4 months ago, we took the services we were doing and we branded it. And there's my prop tonight. This is a gin and tonic.
I love it.
And we created the gin and tonic program. And it's called Grow Your Network to Openly Navigate In-Depth Conversations. And it's on EFOGI.com, but Grow Your Network. What we do is we help build out the top of the sales funnel for entrepreneurs, for CEOs or the VP of sales. And we automate their LinkedIn. We do pre-meetings on StreamYard like we're doing tonight. We bring guest speakers to these CEOs, and they talk about life, real life, like you and I did the other night and like we're doing tonight.
Right.
And so we put a series of these together, and every month we produce webinars for companies and help them grow. And for the Exo Network, we've been doing this, and I've gotten like 603 new connections in about 3.5 weeks from our process. And they're all EO, YPO, Vistage, YPO Gold, and we're just inviting them to connect.
And what is this is through your platform or through like a social platform that they're connecting with you?
They're connecting through LinkedIn, and we're doing a lot of work through LinkedIn, do LinkedIn Lives, do Facebook Lives, to the YouTube channel, very similar to what you're doing here. And so we've worked through and have our clients, and we've signed up probably 18, 20 clients in the last 3 weeks.
Wow, man, congratulations. That's freaking awesome.
It's awesome. And we're having so much fun doing it and connecting people. And so I had Jack Daly on the other day, and Bob Prosen was on, and Fran was on, and Deb Gabor was on, and, and we're talking, and you're going to be one of our keynotes at one of our client events here. Scott Fritz is going to come out. Talked to him the other day. And so we're going to connect a lot of the people that have been around for a while and just bring them all together. And that's what I really love.
Well, man, it's so cool. Like, and that this is where I feel, and I would love to get your feedback on this. I was talking, we connected the other night, and we didn't say this, but I want to admit I have a problem. Can I admit to my problem I have right now? So I have a Clubhouse problem. Sorry, Facebook. I know we're live on Facebook, but I'm fully addicted to Clubhouse, which is this new. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like the world's largest conference with just different panels and rooms and stuff. And so I'm full. My name is Darius, and I'm a Clubhouseaholic. It's not pretty. But what I'm finding on there, and why I like it so much. Yeah, there you go. It's no joke. the reason I love it so much is the ability to network and connect at such like real connection, not like this, hey, I'll send you a text, never hear your voice. Like it's all voice. So you're connecting with people and you're making these like building really a real network. And so what I'm finding, and this is something that I've been paying attention to, and this is something that I think many entrepreneurs, especially brick and mortar entrepreneurs, people that have a background in a more traditional entrepreneurial world, and EO, I think, tends to drive a lot more of that. Even though we can all say digital's huge, you get much more of traditional services businesses. You get more traditional manufacturing businesses, less of the techie stuff. But I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say this the other day, and I was like, yeah, this is so true. And I was actually on Clubhouse, and I heard another guy say this. He was the head of Murray Burnham Murray Productions, the CEO of it. And he said, if you are someone that's trying to promote almost anything these days, and I found this to be true with my book, if you do not have a quote unquote following, an audience,
right,
no one's going to care.
No.
And so I think a lot of people have been so used to grinding and building it the old fashioned way, making it transactional. But we live in a world where social media is taking off. Connecting virtually is taking off. You're building events around virtual connection. And Gary Vaynerchuk said this. He's like, people's attention is the new currency. And I believe the relationships attached to those is the actual most valuable part of that currency. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
I think that you're right on, and we've all talked about in the entrepreneurial community that it's people do business, people they know, trust, and like. Well, when the pandemic came and everybody shut down and everybody was locked into their homes, they all went, nuts on these webinars, and everybody got zoomed out, and Teams went explosion, and all these things went happen. But it really changed in our psychology. We don't want to be hit up. There's a lot more authenticity going on. People are having tough conversations. Now, I don't like the way that people are expressing some of it, but I do like that we're having conversations. And now what we do with our gin and tonic program is we don't deal with their core business, service, or product. We don't do webinars like that. We have guests come on and we have real conversations, and it's to openly navigate in-depth conversations. So we want to have people talk to other people about what's going on in life and where they're seeing things and what they're expressing and what's going on behind the scenes. So part of our questionnaires are, what are the 3 things you're talking about with your family and friends? I don't want to know what your sales pitch is. I want to know what you're doing with your family and friends.
Right.
And I see families that they get along really well, but they can't even talk about the Democrat and Republican side. They can't talk about those things. That's a tough scenario. I've got family members that I haven't talked to in years because they just don't see a need in what I'm doing in my life or what's going on. It's a beautiful world that we're living in. Life is so open right now. There's tons of people doing new opportunities. Carl Camden left Kelly Services and he started the Association of Contract Professionals. If you're out there and you're laid off and you want to start your own company, this helps you understand the contracts you need and the insurance you can get and all of these independent contractors are the way of the future. And there's a lot of social media out there. So when you talk about having real conversations, I think that's why you and I hit it off.
Yeah.
We talked for a long time about, life's good. It's tough. Don't get me wrong. We worked our butts off last year and we had to, and reinventing yourself or pivoting or whatever you want to call it, it came down to the relationships you had. And a few of our clients are real dear relationship friends, and that kept us going. And so meeting new people, sharing those. I mean, I jumped on Clubhouse with you the other night. I saw your name popped up and met Dan. Well, Dan and I are going to talk in 2 days, and there's might be a deal that I can help him introduce to. And that's how it works. It's helping each other and doing that introduction because those referrals are the best. They really are.
Well, I think a big part of it, and you kind of nailed it, is, people do business with people they like and trust, right? Who obviously have a capacity to do the work correctly. But in today's world, because there's so much transparency around people's experiences working with each other, because there's such a presence of information around what is it like to do business with someone before I do business with you. I don't need to, the sale part is less on the hard sell. Hey, come do business with me. I'll prove it. It's like, you don't need to prove any of it. I could just go look for myself. If you're good, if you're a real business, there's enough information out there where I'll figure out whether you're good or not. Right now. So I think that kind of gets put out of the way. So I don't need to prove to you that I'm good. We'll interact, and you'll be able to do some homework on me by outside of our conversation, because you're never going to meet someone that says, "Hey, Michael, how good are you at doing your business?" I give myself a solid 5.5 out of 10. I'm really mediocre. Said no one ever. I always joked when I would hire employees. I said, I've never met someone where if I ask them if they have a good work ethic, they tell me they don't. No, and these are things we don't say, right? Hey, would you rate your integrity? Pretty low. I'm a low integrity person. These are things you never hear people say, because people don't think of themselves like that, and they always have a reason why they do things that don't match up in those areas, right? So putting that aside,
I do like John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, where he says, have the person rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10. And I did this with my kids, and I did it with our youngest the other day. I say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself on how you did on your workout today? Mm-hmm. And they were working out because she's doing ice skating, and she's really getting great at ice skating, and she's doing this workout to get better on her core and flexibility. She goes, I'd give it about a 6. I'm like, so what would you like to do next time? I'm going to do at least 8.5. That self-evaluation, I think, is huge.
But I think people lie to themselves all the time. But can I give you an example?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I told you I have a bad addiction for Clubhouse, which I do. Sorry, Clubhouse. I love you. But I was on Clubhouse last night, and I was on this room and it's like habits of top performers. And I was one of the speakers. And the moderator, the guy who was running the room, said, and this guy, JT Fox, he said, how would you rate yourself as an entrepreneur, like on a scale of 1 to 10? Now, the average score in the room was probably 8.5 or 9. And he gets to me and this other guy named Cody, and I was like, I'm a big fat 5. Now, I arguably was top 3 as far as if you rated my ability to build companies and run businesses. There's probably 40 people on the panel. I was without question top 3 on that panel. But I scored myself a 5, and these other people were scoring themselves 8s, 9s, 10s. And I'm sitting there, and I said, I'm sorry, but this is graded. It's not graded on a curve. Like Elon Musk is worth $500 billion, and it's taking people to Mars. Like, if that's the A+, if that's a 10, how the fuck are you an 8?
Well, that's a great question, is what the scale is, not the scale 1 to 10, but what's important in your values. And so if you rate yourself a 5 and your values are, I have to have work-life compliance, not work-life balance, because there's no such thing. Right. We all have 168 hours, and you're going to work when you want to work. Now, the other on the panel, they might have a 9 to 5 right now. You don't. And so if your values are different and you want more time to invest or look at these or help young entrepreneurs do your show, you're going to say, I'm not really building a business right now. And that's self-talk. Self-talk is the horrible. It's the worst. You got to get out of your self-talk. You wouldn't say it to your friend. So why in the hell would you say it to yourself? It's unbelievable.
I agree. My whole reason was actually, I thought of it positively, which is like, I was just thinking universally, I'm probably a solid 5. But I'm a tough grader. Like, you're going to get a black belt in my dojo in 1 year. Sorry. Like,
well, do you remember, and EO talked about this a lot and everything, but how many businesses percentage wise ever make it to $1 million that are started in the US?
What is it, like under 10%, 1%? I can't remember. Vern
3%.
does it. Yeah, 3%. That's right.
So, and we created this 3% club. So 3% of companies ever make it to $1 million. Of those make it to $1 million, only 3% of them make it to 5.
Okay.
And only 3% of those 5 ever make it to 10.
All right, let's keep going.
And it keeps going. So
I want to. So am I? I made it.
Yeah. See, it changed your number from 5.
All right, all right, Michael. I'm a 10.
Numbers. There's a reason they call it the Fortune 500, not the Fortune 5,000, and they had to expand it so they can make more money. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But there's only 500. The S&P 500. How many companies is that?
It's 500, right? No, well, and that's how I was grading it though, because I was like, look, if you have $1 billion company that's worth $1 billion, you're like a small cap. You're like a penny stock, right?
Right.
That's $1 billion company. My company's worth $1 billion. You're penny stock.
So you and I know all these entrepreneurs that get in and say, "Oh, I want to get to $1 million," and you've got EO that's got what, 14,000 members, 8 to 14,000 members, and the qualification for EO is $1 million and 20% ownership and some other things. Now you got YPO, which is like 8 to 10 million, but you don't have to have any ownership.
Right, which is kind of weird. But
well, see, that's a whole great conversation. Also, I love because YPO are great because they're about profitability right now. You're a president, you're great on getting that company profitable and continuing.
True.
Entrepreneurs want to build it up to sell it down the road.
True.
That balance of how whether you invest or not invest, I think it's a great way to merge a company's thinking and strategic planning.
I think it's a balance between the two, right? There is, and the way I look at it is every dollar spent needs to create value that is measurable in the future, right? And you're placing. I used to tell my business partners I had a saying. I said, listen, I like 1 for 10s. I want to put a buck in and get 10 out. I don't like 1 for 1s because it's too much risk, and I don't like 1 for 2s because it's too much risk. 1 for 10. Listen, if I want to get 1 for 3s, like I'll just go put money in the stock market, right? I don't need to do it here. And so I'm taking on too much risk.
Right.
What's that?
And you still rank yourself a 5.
All right, I'm a 10. No, I was comparing my, like we talked about this. I told you I joined Tiger 21, and I was like, I'm the ugliest house on the block, So, but I'm okay. So I'm comparing myself against. I mean, there's some freaking hitters in those groups, man.
There are. Now, Tiger 21 is an incredible organization, and you got to be invited in. And what is it, 10 million in investable money? You got to prove your balance sheet every year to your forum.
Yeah. They do call it portfolio defense, where you go in there and you show them you can go below it once you qualify, but then they're raising it to 15. But it's no joke. Like there's some incredible. The average net worth in that group's 100.
Yeah, and so I would love to sit somebody and look at my portfolio and they're like, wait a minute, you invested this here and you only got X% return. You could have done this, and this, and you would have gotten X plus Y%. And you're like, tell me that again.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's probably an opportunity to go down market and do it for people like it's almost like an accelerator for Tiger because because people that are at 5, right, or 3, like why do you got to wait to 10 to figure that shit out? Like that's a heavy slog. Trust me.
What do you mean it's a heavy slog? Didn't you do it overnight? Weren't you a 20-year overnight success?
Well, there was 5 years that I made $0 and went to work and cut checks, but that's that was fun. 5 years. So 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. Add up all my income. You want to know what it came out to?
Go ahead. 0.
Negative, actually, because I lost 7 figures 1 year. Wow. Yeah. It's a long time. That's a long time to go to work for.
It is.
Yeah.
It worked out okay.
I'm, better to be stupid than lucky.
But really, you're only a 5. I'm going to not let that go forever. I'm only a 5. I took 0 income for 5 years, came out, sold the company for X factor, did really well. I'm in Tiger 21. I'm buying these companies. I got my own show, and you're a 5. BS.
Yeah, you should go to win an award for making people feel good because they're making me feel good right now. So yeah, hey man, I think we just came up with an idea. I think it should be Tiger 10, not Tiger 21. It's the accelerator for Tiger 21. It'll be Lion, or it'll be like Cub Cougar 11.
So I'll make a deal. We'll start one of those sub communities because we have that in the app, and we'll put it in Exo Network. And you can be the chair of that network and give all your advice out there and put your show in there. How about that?
Dunzo. So let's do this. What's our time? We got like 10 minutes. Let's I want to hear about like what's the vision for Exo and what's the vision for EFOGI.
Okay. Exo, we're going to have our first virtual conference. It's going to be free and it's for all entrepreneurs out there. We've got a group of great speakers, Growth Institute, and Daniel Marcos is going to open it up. And Daniel's incredible. I mean, he's got incredible organization. Growth Institute is one of the best. Michael Melfi, Investable Mastermind. This is for those startups that really want to learn about accountability. Then you got Stand Advisors. Stand Advisors, Rob and Pascal out of Canada, they have a unique approach to the strategic planning. They group companies together. So they bring like 4 companies together. So while you're doing your strategic planning, your 4 VPs of HR or your 4 operations VPs can all get together and work through, and they learn from each other. So it's peer-to-peer, but strategic planning for your own company.
Wow.
And Joe Caruso Leadership. Joe is one of the 50 most brilliant minds in the world. The guy is beyond anybody. He works with sheiks and he works with assistant defense secretary and all these different minds. And he works on their mind. And to me, that's just incredible. So we want to grow Exo Network to be a 8 to 10,000 member community so that when you're traveling, when you're there, you've got a network in your pocket that nobody else has. Pre-qualification, you had to have been a member of another entrepreneur organization already. That's the pre-qualifier. It's $600 a year. And so you get the CEO magazine subscription, you get all content with it, you get the mobile app, everything. So it's pretty simple. It's the exonetwork.org. Thank you, Jade, for putting that up there. We want to grow that slowly, methodically. We've got city chairs. They're out there on the website. And each city chair is going to be hosting 3 networking events a year. And the networking is just in those cities. So Phoenix, Chicago, we got Houston, we got Detroit, we got 10 cities now. And I think you and I, that's our conversation next week about, city chair Darius. But we send out money to those city chairs and they host network events. No speakers. It's just cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, like a gin and tonic. I got that plug in, didn't I?
Yeah.
And you just network, because when you put a room of entrepreneurs together who don't know each other, you don't need a speaker.
No.
You ask one question: have you seen the real Darius? And then everybody talks.
Yeah, it's a magnetic energy of entrepreneurs. You got to love it. That's cool.
So that's the dream for Exo Network. For FG, we've got about 22, 23 gin and tonic clients right now. We've going to cap that at 72, and we've got about 50 in the hopper right now, but we're going to do the right 72, and we're going to host these webinars and connect these networks, and then we want to run regular conference events. So we'll do about 15, 20. The business is slated very well this year, and we'll continue to methodically do our niche market of the attendees, and pardon the expression, but this is what we call them, precious squirrels. And so if you are a precious squirrel, which means you're the top dog in your own city and you're coming to a conference, you want to be treated like a precious squirrel there. I'm a precious squirrel. You're a precious squirrel. We're all precious squirrels.
I love it.
We want to stay in that niche and want to grow it.
That's awesome, man. So guys, listen, we got a lot of entrepreneurs that like to listen to this, whether you're listening to it live, you're listening to it off the recording. You guys know who you are. Mi familia. If you guys are mi familia, dude, hit up exonetwork.org. We're gonna be blowing that thing up for those inside and outside these entrepreneurial organizations. Let's build some networks outside, so once we can get out in public again and hang out non-virtually in actually in the flesh. Yep. That there's some people that you can connect with, and you guys know how this goes. It's it's a sorority / fraternity, right? Like once you've been in these networks and you've met people, it's one of those things where you kind of talk the same language. We share the same values. So I highly encourage you guys to connect with Michael. Check out exonetwork.org. There's a lot of coaches that listen to this, so I actually my wheels are turning. That if you're looking for, how many city chairs are you looking for right now?
We're going to do probably about 25 this year, and we've got 10, so about 15 more.
Yeah, listen, a lot of my boys and girls out there, you guys are coaches. Like, it's probably a really good way to like deepen your entrepreneurial like web and community is consider a city chair. You know,
That's the key about City Chair. So we send them a list every week of the connections we have that are in EO, YPO, Vistage, and all that. And then we ask them to connect with them and invite them to the next networking event. That's the role of a City Chair, and post in the community. So it's pretty easy, and they're going to be the hub of entrepreneurs in that city.
there you go. So you want to be the hub and bring in the spokes. So we got that. So you guys, exonetwork.org, check out Michael. We put in his LinkedIn profile, and then obviously there's some really cool opportunities if you're a company that wants to hook up with you guys for events, thought leaders, a lot of marketing around EFOGI. So there's some. And are you industry agnostic, or what do you think? How's that work?
We're industry agnostic, and we're looking for both guests. And so our guests are people who volunteer their time. They come on, and then we introduce them to the hosts. The host is actually the CEO of these companies. And so if you have written a book, if you're a thought leader, if you have a specialty, out on FG.com under Gin and Tonic, there's a presenter form. So fill it out, and we're looking for about 100 new presenters. And when our conferences come up, just like I talked to you, I said, hey, I want to talk about Gin and Tonic, turned out, loved your book. You sent me a copy, and going through it, I'm like, look, I got a conference in Austin. Do you want to speak at it? So now you're the keynote at our event in May, and that's how it works. We just keep building that network and sharing it.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. That was very gracious of you to hook me up with that. I totally appreciate it. And that just shows you, like, that right there shows you Michael's character. Like, we just met, and you're just given. So I love that, man. I'm the same way, and I feel like that's the ethos of this type of network. So you guys, if you're a thought leader, if you're a CEO that wants to, you guys are looking for clients as well that want to hook up with those thought leaders, right?
Correct. We want to have the clients, we want to build their brand by not talking about their business, but talking about who they are. And they get to host an interview, and then we give them leads. We give them the connections, and we take down the information and get their phone numbers and emails. It's all that whole process. Honestly, in our project manager, there's 78 steps before we even go live. So
nice.
It's a detailed process.
Very cool. And guys, I will tell you that that's one of my biggest takeaways of doing, when you put together, when you work with a professional like Michael. I worked with NGNG to build my show, and they work on book with authors of book launches. But my biggest takeaway from doing this show is that I get to meet interesting people like Michael and have a real conversation. And what I find is a lot of people just gravitate to me now because this is show 109, 110. And, when you start getting in front and people can kind of feel you, right? Like, people know a lot more about you and me now than they did an hour ago about who we are as people. I've never talked publicly about the fact that I ate shit for 5 years and made $0, but you know that about me now. It's it's a truth bomb that sucked that I dealt with. So what does that mean? That just means I'm a person that has stick-to-itiveness. I don't give up, right? Would I do it again? Hell no. But that I did it. That's the thing. Like, regardless of what anyone says, that's part of who I am. And so what I find with these shows that's very interesting is people get an insight into your personality, right? They get an insight into like how you behave. And listen, it might be that someone's a faker on it, and that comes out too. So hey, if you're a faker, don't do a show. But just know that might come out. For me, it's, hey, people can feel you and see you and read you and understand the way you think and your thought process. And it's not just some one-liner on LinkedIn or some like over-rehearsed video, right? Like, that stuff has a time and place. Don't get me wrong, but I think this shows as a format are the ultimate way to connect with clients and to build your brand in an organic way. And then you can put some rocket fuel behind it as you develop it to really, really get your message out there. So I love what you're doing at EFOGI. I think that is an awesome way for people to connect, business leaders, brands that want to really up their game. And I love that you're doing that. So, man, so much there. And we have the links to connect.
One last plug, as a good friend of mine, Mike McFall, is the co-CEO of Big B Coffee. He's got the book out there, Growth, and he's getting ready to release another book called Grind. Mike and I were in forum a long time ago. Incredible story. So if anybody's out there, and please reach out on LinkedIn to connect with Mike McFall, MCFALL. I want to blow up his LinkedIn connections, have a little fun. We're building that community based off of advice given by Darius. We want to get 25,000 followers before he gets his book launched.
Nice. There you go. You heard it from your lips to God's ears, right? So let's make it happen, guys. Let's help Mike McFall up. He's got his book Grind coming out. I love that plug. And listen, I'm gonna tell you, man, putting out books is a pain in the ass. It's a lot of work. Like I was talking to my coach about it. I said, man, it's the world's most expensive business card. So, like it really is. So yeah, man, support the starving artist. I used to call myself a starving artist when I was putting my book out, but support the starving artist, man. Really support books. Books are, this is free mentorship. It's the way people really learn. It democratizes education and leadership. And the way we do that's by supporting authors so that they have a reason to get their words out there. And I love that you're helping a friend out. So I'll go get that book myself. And I'd love for everyone else to do that. And if you're is he on LinkedIn? Can we hit him up there? And
LinkedIn. And what an incredible guy. And I'm going to connect you guys because I think he'd be a great person to come on here too.
That awesome. We put that in the notes here. So guys, let's do that. Everybody, man, what a show. What a show. Michael, I appreciate you so much, my friend.
Seriously. Thank you. I appreciate it. Seriously.
You're a badass, and I love what you're doing, and I'm so happy that we've connected and that we're building a relationship. And guys, follow everything we just said. There's so many nuggets here, so much stuff. Spread this, share this video with friends who want to learn more about this. This is great for anyone who's trying to level themselves up in the entrepreneurial world. And with that said, we're going to get out of here. I just want to say a couple last things. Guys, big news on the show. We're turning into a podcast. It's coming out in the next month. I'm trying to promote that. So follow the show, subscribe to my email list on my website, therealdarius.com. Lots of stuff happening there. We got a course and workshop on the core value equation for companies who are trying to build their core values, who want to build them the right way, not the wrong way. I'm putting together a mastermind group for that. That launches at the end of the month. And last but not least, follow us on YouTube. I'm trying to get up to 100 followers on there. I know 100, you're like, that's all you have? Yeah, it's a grind. It's hard to get 100 followers. I got way more followers on Facebook, but everyone watches on Facebook, then I'll watch it on YouTube. So go in there and subscribe, and then you get notifications when we do shows. So in case you miss it, it ends up in your inbox, and you get to hear my wonderful voice sing in the beginning. So with that said, guys, love you guys so much. We're going to see you guys next week. We got a couple more shows for you. With that said, we're going to out of here. Thank you, Michael. Peace. We're out of here.